The elevator jolted once hard and then stopped. Just like that, the hum of movement vanished. We were suspended between floors, trapped in a box of dim light and recycled air. I reached for the emergency button, trying to play it cool, but my heart was already thudding louder than I wanted him to hear. He chuckled lightly behind me. "Guess we're stuck." I turned, and there he was leaning against the mirrored wall like this was all some casual pause in his day. His shirt was unbuttoned just enough to show that irritatingly confident sliver of skin. And his smile? Way too relaxed for someone stranded with his wife's assistant. "I'm sure they'll get us out soon," I said, voice tighter than I wanted it to be. But he didn't answer. He just looked at me, really looked at me, and for a split second, the silence between us felt like something else entirely. It hit me right then, we weren't just physically alone. There was something else here. Unspoken. Forbidden. And in the silence I realized I hadn't taken a full breath since I walked into that elevator. I sat down first, pretending my heels were the reason, not the nerves humming under my skin. He joined me, maybe 2 feet away. Close enough to feel his warmth. Too close. We didn't talk. We didn't need to. The elevator was still, but inside me, everything buzzed. The air felt heavier, thicker. I could hear him shift slightly, the soft rub of fabric, the creak of leather shoes. I could hear him breathe. Slow. Measured. Then his hand brushed against my thigh. Just barely, like an accident. But it wasn't. I didn't move away. I stayed frozen, my body tense like a wire. My fingers curled into my palm, gripping the edge of my skirt to keep them from doing something reckless. "Weird how quiet it gets," he said, not looking at me. His voice was low, softer than usual. "Makes you notice things you usually don't." "Like what?" I asked, but I already knew. He didn't answer, just smiled, lips pressed tight like he was holding something back. I turned my face away, but I could feel his eyes on me. Watching. Exploring. We were silent. But our bodies, they spoke otherwise. My pulse was a drumbeat in my ears. And when he shifted again, his leg brushing against mine this time, deliberately, I didn't pull away. Something in me already had. The lights flickered once, then dimmed to a softer glow, as if even the elevator understood we needed darkness to cross the line. He shifted closer. Not much, but enough. Enough for the space between us to feel like a live wire. Enough for his knee to brush mine and stay there. Not by accident. Not this time. I kept my eyes forward, pretending to ignore him. But my whole body was already listening, skin tingling, breath shortened, heart tripping over itself. His fingers moved again. First, just grazing my knuckles. Then slowly slipping beneath my hand, as if testing whether I'd let him stay. I did. The warmth of his palm against mine was steady, grounding, and yet, it set everything spinning. "I shouldn't," I whispered, unsure if I meant it for him or myself. "I know," he said, barely audible. "Then don't." But neither of us pulled away. His hand rose, trailing along my forearm, higher, leaving goosebumps in its wake. My body leaned into it instinctively, craving more, terrified of how much I needed it. He cupped my jaw, gentle but sure, his thumb grazing the corner of my mouth. I trembled. That single touch undid me. When his lips met mine, it wasn't a kiss. It was surrender, slow, searching, devastating. My hand found the back of his neck, fingers threading through his hair as if they'd been aching to do it all day. His other hand slid along my waist, over fabric, then under, just enough to feel the heat of my skin. We kissed like the world had disappeared, like time belonged only to us. When he pressed me gently against the wall, it wasn't forceful. It was a question. And the way my body arched into his, it was the answer. His breath trembled against my neck. Mine caught in my throat as his hands explored every line of me through clothes we suddenly hated. There was no rush, only hunger wrapped in restraint. Every movement, every sigh was like trying to stay quiet in a room that had already heard too much. I didn't think. I felt. And in the silence, in the dark, wrapped in his arms, I stopped caring where the boundaries had been. His hands found my waist again, pulling me tighter, as if afraid the moment would slip away. I was pressed to his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heartbeat, or was that mine, echoing between us? His mouth found mine again, slower this time, deeper. Like we both realized we had only seconds left, and every second had to be burned into memory. His hands moved over me like he was learning a language only I could speak, through fabric, through heat, through every trembling response he pulled from me. I gasped when his lips found the hollow of my neck, and he smiled against my skin like he'd just unlocked something secret. My fingers clutched his shirt, knuckles white, body no longer mine. And then the elevator groaned. A mechanical sigh. A shudder beneath our feet. Time came rushing back in. We froze. My forehead rested against his collarbone, his hands still buried in my hair. He didn't move. Neither did I. The moment hung there, breathless, weightless, until the numbers above the door started to change. We pulled away, slowly, like letting go of a dream you're still in love with. I adjusted my dress, smoothed it down with shaking hands. He tucked in his shirt, not meeting my eyes. We were silent. When the doors opened, the world was too bright. Too fast. Too normal. We stepped out. Not touching. Not speaking. To anyone watching, we were two colleagues leaving a technical hiccup behind. But inside me? Inside him? There was a storm we didn't dare acknowledge. The kind that starts small and never really ends. I walked 3 steps behind him through the lobby, but I could still feel him, like the imprint of warm hands on cold skin. My body hadn't caught up with the lie we were now telling. The air outside felt different. Too open. Too clean. I missed the heat of the elevator, the charged silence, the permission to forget everything except his breath on my neck. He didn't look back. But I did. Just once at the elevator doors that had closed behind us like a secret sealing itself shut. At my desk, I tried to focus. On emails. Schedules. Anything that wasn't the soft imprint of his lips trailing along my collarbone or the way his voice had curled around my name like a slow unraveling. But every movement reminded me. The shift of my blouse against my skin. The faint smudge of his cologne still on my wrist. The ache in my thighs from how tightly I pressed them together when his hand had moved just a little too high. I should have felt shame. Guilt. Maybe I did. But underneath it all, I felt alive. Because in those few minutes I'd been wanted fiercely, undeniably. Not because I was convenient or available, but because something in him had reached for something in me without apology. And something in me had reached back. That scared me more than anything. Because what happens when a moment you shouldn't have becomes the one you can't stop craving? That night, I stood in front of my mirror longer than usual. I traced my own lips with the back of my hand, as if I could still feel him there, soft, urgent, trembling with everything we couldn't say out loud. My skin flushed at the memory of how he had touched me like he knew I'd say yes before I did. He never reached out after. No message. No glance the next day. Just silence, the polite, hollow kind. But the memory, it didn't need reminders. It lived in the way my body still reacted when I thought of him. In the way I flinched when someone brushed past me too closely. And the warmth I still carried in places no one could see. The elevator hasn't broken down since. I take the stairs now. Not because I'm afraid it'll happen again, but because I'm afraid it won't. That space between floors? It holds a version of me I can't explain. A girl who stopped following the rules. Who let herself be wanted. Who felt something that tasted like danger and freedom, all at once. I wonder if he remembers. I wonder if he still hears my breath when the world goes quiet. Some moments don't live in time. They live in touch, in heat, in the space just wide enough for two people to lose themselves and never fully return.